Well, welcome back to the podcast Show Jumping 101 with Sameh Dahan and Joanne Sloan. Well, today we're talking all things equine health. And with us today, we've got Sandra Hughes from Succeed. Joanne and Sameh have been using Succeed for well over a year now and just sought the product out when they were in Canada. So, Joanne, it'd be great to chat away to Sandra and Sandra can tell us a little bit about what Succeed is and how it works.
Hi, Sandra. So we basically started using Succeed last year because of obviously all the travel we do. The horses we felt were lacking in something, and it's hard as well. We're always touring about traveling, and we decided to use Succeed, and we liked it so much. We came back and knew you were the agent, and obviously we've known you for many years, and we decided to catch up with you and find out. So maybe you can tell us the technical, basically for us, our horses look great on it, but maybe you can tell us a little bit, why is that?
Okay, so Succeed is a nutritional supplement designed to maintain and support the entire digestive tract. So that's the stomach right through to the hindgut. It's made in America, as you know. It's got worldwide patents. And I suppose what sets Succeed apart from any other supplement out there is that Succeed is not masking or treating a symptom. It's not trying to turn something off that naturally occurs in the digestive system. What it does is it works at a cellular level to improve the function and the structure of the gut.
Okay.
So it was originally developed for the performance horse to offset the risks of travel and training and the stress we put them under.
Yeah. I mean, Sam, also you noticed a big difference, funny enough, in one of our horses, Toronto. He's always what you call light framed, always hard to put weight on. And it was actually for him we started using Succeed. We always felt he was a bit ulcery, uncomfortable. And like Sam can tell you, what's the difference now? And he's a fussy eater.
Well, I chatted about him a lot. It's WKD Toronto is one of my Grand Prix horses anyway, and we always struggled to keep weight on him, obviously with all the traveling, all the showing. And as you just mentioned, it puts a lot of stress on the horses from a traveling point of view. And we were in a tack shop in Canada, and I looked at, Succeed just first of all, the name caught my eye. So that was the first thing that got me a little bit interested to read about it. And I read
always good.
Yeah,
Succeed is better than, the options.
Exactly. So then I read about it, and then I got Joanne over and said, read about this because it might be interesting for him. And I must say the change was unbelievable in just a few days, not even a few weeks, from his eating habits, because he's really fussy eater. And again, I've chatted about him many times. He couldn't feed him enough now. Like he'll finish all his feed, and he's also a very hard horse to give him a paste in the mouth. Like he wouldn't even come. As soon as he sees the paste, he'll run in a corner. He sees Succeed and he actually really likes it. Like he'll come over without even a head collar and wants to take it off your hands. So these were the first signs that this product is really helping him. And then obviously when I chatted to you, I knew the chemistry and the science behind it. Why does it work? And we've used it on all the other horses straight away, and touch wood, horses look amazing, performing great. And I don't see any kind of stomach upsets in them, like girthy or ears back or anything like that. They're, great condition, great performance. So it's one of the products that I really believe in to start with, and I'm really happy that I'm using it as well. So
yeah, and horses are really smart. I mean, we've done this with herbs and stuff, like a self-selection thing. When they need something, I'll put a little pile of this and whatever, and they know what they need.
Yeah.
And it's funny, any of them, like my mare Lily,
just gonna say,
if you say Succeed, she will actually stick her head out. We have one of the adverts. Do you remember we put a little one that we did, and she was lifting the syringe out of the bag. They do really enjoy it.
Well, I couldn't get the syringe out of her mouth.
No.
She kind of just grabbed it. I actually couldn't pull it out of her mouth. So
I know.
they actually really like it. And then I've chatted a lot with vets about stomach pain and ulcers and things like this. And like you said, the good thing about Succeed is not masking anything, is actually preventing it happening. And it's not obstructing a release of a certain acid or anything. It's actually helping the cellular functions of the stomach. And again, the hindguts. So it's it works through the whole digestive system of the horse, not specifically obstructing one thing or another, which, I believe it's better preventing something than masking it. And I think Succeed does that for us.
So at this time of year, Sandra, obviously we're in the middle of breeding season. Thoroughbreds start a bit earlier. Ours is just coming into that time of year. You and I already discussed as well. So it's not just, I've had a lot of people actually message me and they've said, yes, but you've sport horses. I have a pony. I have a mare or whatever. What people don't realize is there is so many horses that would benefit from a product like yours.
Yeah.
And especially this time of year, you and I have already discussed about the mares when they foal. So tell me a little bit what you were saying before about the mares. How should I prepare my mare for a good foaling, for the nutrition of the foal? Because it's really important, isn't it, after they're born?
Yeah, so it's really, we always say at Succeed, we like to start at day one. Day one starts with the mare when she's carrying a foal. And the key is nutrient absorption. Nutrient absorption is the key to everything. So we always say, your feed is your fuel for your horse, whether it's your breeding horse or your performance horse. But actually the digestive tract is the fuel line. Okay. That helps the brain, that helps hoof health, that helps immunity, weight, condition, just everything. Now, the importance of Succeed in the breeding operation is that obviously when a foal is born, it has no immunity. So it depends on the mother's colostrum to get its immunity. They do absorb some antibodies while they're in uterus, which are very, very small, but it's the first 18 hours of life that they have to get all the antibodies through the colostrum from the mother. So even, if your mare's colostrum is fine, we did clinical trials in Kentucky 15 years ago on brood mares, all of this with the same nutritional values. Half of them were put on Succeed, half of them just didn't get Succeed. And when the foals were born, the colostrum was tested within an hour of them being born, and the mares on Succeed, it boosted the IgG levels of the colostrum by 97%.
And that is so important.
And it nearly blew us away. And even if your mare's colostrum is fine, and and in Ireland, we don't really have colostrum problems with mare because our grass is so good and it's, worldwide there are issues, but in Ireland we're very, very lucky. But if you can improve the colostrum, you will improve your chance of your foal being a healthy foal. So it's very, very important. We always say the last trimester is so important for a mare because they're put under an incredible amount of stress. That the mare is under stress, but the actual digestive system is under incredible stress because they're carrying such a big foal. So everything is moving around a little bit more than it should. Acid production is flowing at its best. So, by feeding Succeed to the mare, it just keeps everything settled for the mare for those 90 days, also while improving the IgG levels of the colostrum.
And tell me this, so actually a quick story and it might be useful for people who don't even think about these things, one mare breeders or whatever. We breed a lot, but actually we recently lost a foal very sadly. We didn't realise the mare actually was a maiden mare. And we never thought to, because we never had an issue with this. Normally, as you say, Ireland's great. Yeah. The mare didn't produce good enough colostrum. Yeah. Foal was up, drinking, born healthy, lovely foal, and it deteriorated rapidly. Yeah. And and funny enough, this mare wasn't on Succeed. And foal deteriorated rapidly, and there was nothing we could do. Actually, even when we got the colostrum and got it boosted, but that stage it was too late. Yeah. After that, then I was speaking to you about the brood mares, because even it wasn't something that I'd thought of. Yeah. And recently we just had another one born there at the weekend. She was on it and her IgE levels were good, and it's actually the same family line. So I was a bit concerned, obviously. Yeah. Once bitten. Yeah. We've been testing, but it's actually for a lot of people to be aware. I mean, if you're only breeding a couple of foals every year, possibly when your mare's born, it's very simple. It's worth it. Test the IgG levels. Yeah. Because for us, I mean, you have a window of 24 hours with the foal, maybe not even.
You actually have 18 hours.
Yeah.
So when a foal is born, its gut wall is totally open, and that allows it to absorb all the antibodies from the mother. After 18 hours, that closes up. Yeah. So it's those first 18 hours are just essential. Yeah. They're very, very important. And obviously then, your foal, even a healthy foal, and it's getting
ours was healthy.
Yeah, as soon as a foal, if something goes wrong and they start scouring. So what happens is the actual intestine and the villi of the small intestines actually goes completely flat. So actually they absorb nothing. So that's where, I should have said, the small intestines is where all nutrient absorption happens in all equines. So from your foals to your mares to your
Sport horses.
everything.
Yeah.
So if they're not absorbing, and at this stage, if that gut lining is flat, they actually don't even absorb water. So that's why a little foal can be born healthy, and within 2 days, they're on the ground.
Ours,
Yeah,
36,
it's
like 24
actually very,
hours.
very
Yeah.
scary how quick they can actually go down.
Unbelievable.
And obviously then, when they're so poorly, you know, you're going down the route of medications and you're trying to fix things, and, you know, but actually there was studies done recently in the university in Surrey, and they actually monitored the gut health of foals for the first 28 days, and they followed those foals through to their 3-year-old racing career. These were thoroughbred foals. And the results were actually amazing. The foals that had good gut health at 28 days and didn't have any medication and were healthy actually outperformed, you know, their companions. They had less respiratory disease and less tendon problems. You know, the horses that had medication, the foals that had medications at foal, they underperformed right through their. So it's very, very important that first month of foals to get that gut health, because your foal might survive. You know, it's a hardy little foal. It'll survive during a foal. It'll be fine. It'll go into weaning, and you know, they always lose a bit of weight before and after weaning anyway, but it'll struggle along. It'll be fine. And it's only when that foal, whether it's a racehorse and goes into training as a 2-year-old and it does its first bit of work for the trainer, boom, stops eating, falls away to nothing. Or in your game, I suppose, is it 4 and 5-year-olds they're not broken until? And then as soon as you start pressing the button and ask them to perform or to do something,
then all the
wheels all start falling off. And it actually
it's like a handicap in a way. It's not really a handicap, but it is a bit, because obviously when they don't get a healthy upbringing somehow because of whatever they were missing at a foal, it just affects them in the later stages of their lives.
Yeah.
It's the same as human beings, you know.
Yeah,
really
I mean,
does.
we actually also then, because Sam and I had a discussion about last year, so all our yearlings, basically, they go out. So the foals stay in the first year. The next year, the yearlings go out. Last year, I wasn't happy with them. Okay, I don't like the yearlings to get too fat. We like to slow the growth here. But last year, I just wasn't happy with them. And I said to Sam, do you know what? I'm going to speak to Sandra. And we discussed this, didn't we, about giving the yearlings a course.
The course of succeed.
And we give them, it was a month, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I must say now that they've come this year, we're springtime, and already they look stronger than the year before.
They all look amazing.
Yeah, they look so much better. Okay, it was maybe a nicer winter for them than the last year, but and it's tiny things like this that people don't realize. You know, from small breeders to bigger breeders like us, it's those small areas that, as a breeder for the future, I mean, when people come along and they're buying a horse at 4 or 5, they want to know that that's all been because
that, and it's been organized there in a system in a way as well.
And you obviously, from a business point of view, you want to have a reputation of being
strong,
a good farm, and you know, bringing up your your horses in the right way, and you know. And as best as you do it, there's always something that you can improve on. You know, I mean, I remember my dad very well, Joanne, and he was a racehorse trainer, and he used to always say when horses would come in and they'd be very light and he couldn't train them because they just used to go slow on the pot when you train them and whatever. And he always said, "Oh, that one wasn't done well as a yearling, or that one wasn't done well as a foal." And actually, looking back, they probably were. But actually, they didn't get what they needed from day one. You know, obviously, my dad used an awful lot of Succeed in his training business. He trained everything on it. He didn't understand the science behind it. He just knew it worked, and
that's
it gives them a good constitution.
Well, that's how it started with us.
Easy.
We didn't know how it worked, but it definitely did work. And that's when then we got in touch with you and we understood the science behind it. And actually going to sport horses as well, from a performance point of view, again, going to that horse, WKD Toronto, he's still a blood horse and full of life, but I feel his performance was sometimes, bothered by nervousness. And since I have started using Succeed with him, that nervousness has decreased a lot. His performance has been more consistent. So I'm obviously you can explain a little bit more why is that happening. I think is obviously more stomach comfort. He's getting, he's more relaxed, but then you can maybe also elaborate on how that happens by using
Also,
Succeed.
actually, an interesting one, because obviously here we have so many. So we have thoroughbreds, horses, ponies, foals, mares. A very interesting one is RAL with the ponies, because a lot of pony people don't realise. People just think it's ulcers and things like that there are a big horse problem. Over the years, the number of ponies that we've had with ulcers has been more than the horses. And I see these ponies at the shows and they're like this, and the kids.
It's the terminology of people now, oh, it's just a hot horse.
They don't
Some
realise.
of them have blood, some of them have a lot of blood, but some of them also are nervous because they have a discomfort of some sort. And most of that discomfort sometimes is coming from the stress levels from traveling all over the place and showing and not having something in their, and that is comfortable for their digestive system, which I think in horses is the most important aspect of performance.
And I think as well,
comes from
ponies
a healthy,
as well.
healthy stomach.
You see people, we'll give it a calmer. But I find actually with what we found is the Succeed paste, giving it to the ponies has helped then, when we then give them a calmer or whatever, the magnesium calmers, they tend to work better once the stomach is settled. Now, how does that work? Because I'm sure there's something there.
Absolutely. I mean, we know there's a direct link between the gut and the brain. And the research coming in on humans, is sort of galloping away with us at the moment. But it's the same with horses. The polar lipids, that is the main ingredient in our oat oil, that's really good for brain function. So as you said, your horses are, even though they're blood horses, and you need them to have that fire in them to compete. But they're doing it in a focused way. So they're using that energy in the right way. They're not using it as in they're all over the place and they're stressed and they're sweating, and that's what you don't need. You need them to focus.
Sorry to interrupt, but it's very funny when you said sweating, because with him, he would, like, if I work him for 10 minutes, he'll start sweating already before I was using Succeed. And I was always wondering, he's just putting so much tension in himself when I'm riding. And that all went away. He's still a blood horse. Like when you see him, he's blood. He's quick on his feet. He's quick over the jumps, and he's actually a nice model of horse to look at. But the sweating has decreased remarkably with whenever I started using Succeed. So sorry to interrupt, but it was good to elaborate on that.
No, it really does. It really does work. On the brain. It just keeps them relaxed. And as you said, they'd be at the door, their heads are hanging out waiting for it in the morning. Because I think it's more, it was made to be very palatable. It had to be. But I think there's a little bit more than that behind it. I think a horse actually feels relief when they're getting
Tell me
it.
this, so a small pony, what sort of dosage would someone give? Like say somebody's now sitting there and they're going, I've got a 1 to 8 pony. What do I give?
We always say it goes by weight.
Okay.
So depending on the weight of your pony. But, and depends on, how
quick. Using powder or the paste, because there's a powder.
There's a granular form and the paste form.
Exactly. Yeah.
I would just say while we're here talking, and we've spoken about this before, for performance horses, when you're running a business, my preference would be the paste.
Yeah.
Because they're getting the whole dose, and they're exactly getting it before you feed them, which is sort of the key to Succeed. Yeah. Now the granular form was sort of designed for more of a maintenance, but and you top dress the feed. You do not mix the Succeed granules in the feed. So what you want is your horse to eat it first. Now, in the best will in the world, will your horse always eat it first?
Well, it does with the Succeed because they like it.
Well,
but if they put their nostrils into the feed bucket and they just blow away
some tip them up on the floor.
And and some horses, especially some horses that have gut related problems, they're messing with their feed and they're throwing it out of the feed. And I mean, I've actually seen horses do very unusual things. With feed, actually putting it on the floor, going to the water, putting it on the feed, and they're trying to make the feed soft. I mean, it's incredible what horses will do because they have a huge instinct in how they're actually feeling themselves, and they're actually trying to, to repair themselves. Like I had, now, this isn't relevant to you, but it was just very unusual. I was out at a yard and there was a horse with a problem that it was actually eating its own droppings.
Yeah, we have that a few times over the years.
The condition on the horse was just horrific. And this was in a training establishment. Everything was really well looked after, fantastic feed, everything was done right. This horse was eating its head off and eating its own droppings, and they could not put condition on it. but actually the horse was trying to
get
rectify
probiotics.
what was wrong, because you'd see a lot of foals doing
Yeah.
it. You know, they're trying to get some sort of, you know, antibodies, or, you know, they're trying to help themselves. The old-fashioned way was you actually get the droppings into a muslin cloth and you syringe them down. Yeah, it's a quick fix. It doesn't actually fix what's going on. And that particular mare, we started her off on Succeed, and within 2 weeks, she had stopped her nasty habit, and actually she started to thrive.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, you know, how clever they really are, and they know when they sort of need a little bit of help. Sort of going back to what you said about ponies, and yeah, ponies are really prone to gastric ulcers.
Yeah.
And I think that's because most people that would own a pony, they don't have acres and acres of land. You know, so these ponies a lot of the time are stabled most of the time. And the digestive health of a horse, the digestive system of a horse never actually evolved.
Yeah.
So they're nomadic herd animals. Their digestive system was involved to them out grazing 20 hours a day. And the only time they needed a boost of energy was when they were being hunted. And that was it. Now, over the years, all other animals, you know, have actually, you know, evolved, and their digestion has evolved. So I suppose 20 years ago, if you gave a dog some chocolate, it would actually collapse and die in front of you. Now, I mean, it's not going to be very well. You have to bring it to the vet, but it's not going to just collapse. But with a horse, it never evolved. So it's exactly the same digestive system, but now we're actually introducing hard feed, we're traveling them, we're creating a lot of stress. So even if you say, my horse is not stressed, he's fine. Actually, he may not be stressed, but his digestive system is put under stress, if you know what I mean.
And he's coping with it mentally, but it's still there.
Yeah.
You know.
And then you get issues like ponies bolting, ponies with kids getting too hot, too spicy, too whatever. And we've seen that we've had ponies here that have been hot.
Yeah.
The minute they get a good digestive system, the minute they start to get the Succeed, the minute everything starts to come together correctly, all of a sudden people are saying, what camera did you use? How did you get that to work? But actually, it's the digestion first.
Yeah, they're feeling something.
Yeah.
They're not all bad ponies.
On this note, actually, a lot of people, like horses, develop habits, and the bad habits that they develop is not because the horses suddenly change their personality. Something is actually like, for instance, you have a horse that normally goes in the arena and goes round fine, and suddenly started stopping in a corner, or like half rearing or whatever, or bucking. All these things aren't just developed because the horses decided one day I'm gonna be naughty today. It's just something is upsetting them. They develop better habits because obviously the system that they have been riding in and all that, but the bad habits is always related to something is bothering that
Horses
horse.
are trying to
And a lot of
communicate
people,
with us,
a lot
and
of,
we don't
they're
listen
feeling-
until
they're
it's
feeling-
drastic.
they're
yeah, a lot of
feeling
people
something.
disregard that and say, oh, it's just whatever. But sometimes they just need to have a good look on the inside of the horse.
Yeah.
Comes from the stomach, whether it's the stomach or maybe pain in the back or whatever it is. But it should not be just disregarded as the horses are just developing naughty habits. Look at the inside of the horse and try to figure out what's wrong with it.
Sometimes, they can start off, as you say, suddenly behaving wrong and doing naughty things.
Yeah.
And, if you don't address that and you deal it, eventually it does become a habit, if you know what I mean. It's like, you know, horses that windsuck. I mean, they start off doing it because they're feeling something, but after a time, it's a habit that's very, very hard to break.
Yeah.
But, it's really... It's lovely to see a horse change, and because I hate when people say, "Oh, he's just a wrong one," or "He's just, he's just bad mind." Horses are not. Horses are very kind animals, and if they're
100%.
treated right, they will give you everything.
I agree.
But their digestive system controls everything about them.
Yeah. And don't forget, we have chosen to domesticate them.
Yeah.
So we're responsible.
Yeah.
And, when people say, oh, whatever, and we've had this discussion, and as you're saying, there's no such thing as bad horses.
Yeah.
It's like everything. You might occasionally, people remember one horse and it really is just a bad horse.
Yeah.
But they don't change overnight.
Yes,
and
that's
it's our responsibility to find out what is wrong.
Yeah.
We're their caregiver. They rely on us 100%. If we're going to be responsible, we need to look and ask people like you or experts in the field, how can they help? Not just suddenly say, oh, it's being naughty, go down the, punishment approach. You have to, first of all, find out what's wrong.
Address it, address it, whether it's a mare, maybe it's in season, whether, address why is it coming from. For instance, if it's a monthly habit that comes for a few days and it's a mare, then obviously it comes because it's in season. Whether it's something else that the horse traveled a long trip and started acting, then obviously you have to look at its stomach. You know, you just have to know your horse. And that's why I always say, first of all, address why is this happening? You know, talk to everybody that knows the horse, whether the groom, whether the yard manager, whether the rider, whether even the farrier. You know, there's a lot of aspects that I think riders and people that are dealing with horses have to discuss and address it, to basically give the horses the best life possible,
And
which
even
we
just-
all thrive for.
Just little chats. Like you and I were sitting talking at around a cup of coffee, a cup of tea. It's like why we're doing all these podcasts. You know, we're trying to actually inform people, because there's a lot of people, you know, people assume that you know things automatically. You don't. And it's only through discussion. Like you and I were sitting having a cup of tea and you said about the mares. And I went, do you know what? I'd never actually thought of that. We're so focused on our sport. But actually, a horse is a horse. It doesn't matter if it's in sport or whatever. And there's so many aspects of the horse that we can actually... And that's why it's funny. I'm not saying that it's a miracle cure for everything, but as riders especially, and even if it's not Succeed, even if it's something else, good gut health is so important. And I think that, you know, and it's one thing that we need to realise as people who are responsible for horses. We need to think about all these things. Nutrition is key for a horse.
Of course.
Well, if you think about it, like we travel a lot. Our eating habits go out of the window just by traveling for a few hours on a plane. The same for horses. They're on a truck going from one place to the next. So if they were fed 3 times a day on a traveling day, they'd be only fed twice, you know, morning and night and things like this. So all these things affect the horse's digestive system. And if they have just a little bit of help from Succeed or something that is good for the gut, it improves their life dramatically, and that's what's so important.
And pasture time. I mean, I see so many people don't realise, and they think, and they're not trying, these people aren't bad people, they're not trying deliberately. I see, you know, ponies tucked up in their stable and maybe it's a bit wet or a bit whatever and they're inside, and we're thinking as humans, oh, they're in nice and warm and dry, sure, they're happy. But actually, they'd be happier out.
Of course they are.
You know, Dr. Green is amazing. Like, if we ever have a horse that we're really just can't get to the bottom of it, I'll just say, do you know what? Take the shoes off, throw them out. We'll bring them back in 2 or 3 months.
And the reason that works so well is because that's what their digestive system was designed. That's the environment it was designed to be in, you know. So it's, but as you talked about traveling, and it is very stressful for us, and our diets are all over the place. But if you can understand, especially in a horse's stomach, you know, everything they eat is 40% of it is digested in the stomach with acid. Acid rises. So when they're in a truck or they're, you know, even when you're riding or whatever, you know, and obviously, you know, it like ours, you know, we have acid, but we have a gallbladder to control it. So, you know, if you have a few glasses of wine or you eat a hot curry and you need an extra bit, you know, the acid, it works as we need it. But a horse doesn't have a gallbladder. So it's producing gallons of acid on a daily basis. And it needs that to break down 40% of that feed.
And they can't actually...
Nothing
comes up.
Nothing comes up. No, everything goes down. And a horse, actually, they drink to be thirsty. They don't drink to push the food down. It's just the natural flow of the digester. So it's very important that that digester is actually moving at the right pace. So you might have a horse that's, you know, next door to another horse. They're getting exactly the same nutrients and the feed. Everything is exactly the same. One horse is thriving and the other one is really light. And it would drive you mad. Why is he eating and she's not eating or whatever? And it's all down to nutrient absorption. That's, you know, that's what the problem is.
And I suppose it's like us, we're all different. Everybody's makeup is different. I mean, an Irish draft is bound to be different than a thoroughbred, which is bound to be...
different than a warm blood.
But actually, the digestive system is the same.
In their requirements.
It's just the same in everything, you know, and it's nutrient absorption is just so important, and we owe it to our horses. Obviously, you're running a business, so you know our tagline in Succeed is every horse at its best, you know, and you do need, from a business point of view, you need every horse to perform at its best. Now, I always say to people, especially in the racing game, Succeed is not going to make a slow horse be a fast horse, but that slow horse will run as fast as he can. And the same with your game. Do you know what I mean? The same with ponies.
Yeah.
You know, it's an expensive business owning a pony.
Yeah.
And, you know, for mothers that are buying these ponies and their children, it's their passion, and they're heading off every Sunday to events and shows. And to stand on the sidelines, I've done it myself, and watch a child on a pony that's not performing and stopping and backing off.
Frustrating.
The mother's crying, the child is crying, the pony's not happy, nobody is happy.
Yeah.
You know, and that's their digestion.
Yeah.
You know, that is their digestion. It's not a badness. It's, you know, and it's, I suppose at Succeed, we really do want to help horses. The product was designed to help horses, and it really does. You know, if you can improve your horse's digestion, you will improve your horse. You know, and it's very simple. You just keep it very, very simple. You look after them, you feed them, you treat them with kindness. But the key is looking after that digestive system. It's so important.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, as I say, to see all the different varieties, you know. Absolutely brilliant, as always, to speak to somebody with the in-depth knowledge, Sandra. And if anybody is watching this that we can help, you're open, obviously, in Ireland. You're the agent for Succeed.
Yes.
If anybody wants to know more about it, where can they get it?
Now, I'm actually not the agent, as in I don't sell Succeed. So I'm
You're the representative?
I'm the regional manager here in Ireland. There's only me. I'm quite happy to talk to anybody at any time. My number is there on our website. And just really to give advice to anybody.
Just to understand the science behind it, because we used it without understanding how does it work. But once we got in touch with you.
And as I say, we're always there for anybody, but we'll always put somebody on to people that know more than we do. So
it's a product that's available in retail, but it's also available to buy through your vet.
Brilliant.
But our main distributor here in Ireland and Northern Ireland is TRI.
Okay.
So they're very helpful. The girls, you know, on the shop floor I'm always going in, training them up, and, you know, just educating them about Succeed. Because if someone asks a question, it's nice to know. Now, you know what I did for a living and supported my dad when he was training. But, you know, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not a vet. I'm not science-minded. But I do understand how this product works.
Brilliant. And that's the main thing. Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, anybody listening, anybody wants any advice or help, contact us or Sandra. Thank you so much, Sandra, for everything. It's really appreciated.
You're very welcome.
Hope we got a few things there. And
Thank you for making the time. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A huge thank you to Sandra Hughes from Succeed, and of course to Sameh and Joanne for another brilliant discussion. From breeding and behaviour to performance in the ring, today's episode really showed how vital digestive health is to the horses that we love and work with every day. If you enjoy this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and follow Show Jumping 101 on your favourite podcast platform. You can also follow Sycamore Stables and Sameh Dahan on social media. They give you more expert content and behind-the-scenes insight from the show jumping world. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on Show Jumping 101.